Hi guys, this is Jonathan. Well guys, this all happened when we went camping in 1989. My two cousins and I had made a plan for camping. So I went camping with my cousins Harry, 25, and Todd, 24, in September 1989. I was about 21 years old when this incident took place. So before leaving for the camping location, Jersey Point Hill, we packed our clothes, all essential articles, and our sleeping bags as well. So the day has come for which we have been waiting for a long time. Harry, Todd, and I had reserved our tickets beforehand, so we didn't feel any problem while on the journey. When we actually reached there, we noticed there were a few people who had also come for camping. Actually, one day, Harry had a call from Jersey Point Hill Camping Service. They offered the whole package at a lower price. Harry told both of us about it. At first, I was skeptical, but Harry convinced me several times, and I agreed to go camping. When we arrived, we saw the beautiful places, amusing locations, and many more exciting things there. We thought we would enjoy our weekend at best, but we didn't know that it would be a day of destruction. The situation started getting weird when we reached the camping place, Jersey Point Hill. So when we reached there, we booked a room, rested there, and slept for hours. The next morning, I went for a walk. Harry and Todd were sleeping. They refused to come for a walk as they were very tired. I wore my pajamas and went for a walk. While I was enjoying the beautiful place and location, I saw a man who was about to jump off a hill. I shouted, "Hey! Hey, man! What are you doing, man? Don't do this! Please, don't do this!" When he turned, I saw it was Todd. I was shocked how that was even possible. I mean, Todd was sleeping in the room, and when did he come to the hill? Suddenly, Todd's face started changing. Red eyes, injured, and bloody face. I got horrified and froze completely. He was totally injured, yet he was giving a very creepy smile to me. As soon as I came to my conscious mind, I tried to stop him from doing that. He jumped off that hill. I shouted with great emotion, "No! No! Todd! No! Why did you do that?" I immediately ran to the edge of the hill to look for Todd, but I didn't see anyone there. Then suddenly, someone pushed me and I fell and hung from the edge and started shouting, "Help! Someone help me, please, help!" Then, one of the employees of Jersey Point Hill Service Company came there and helped to pull me back up. He took me to my hotel room. I asked, "Hey, thanks. What's your name?" He said, "I'm Carter." I fell asleep. When I woke up, I saw that Todd was alive. Harry and Todd were there near me. They were extremely worried about me. I told them everything about that incident, but they said it must have been my imagination. We all went back there to check that place, but we didn't find anyone there. So it was the day to go camping and to set up a tent. We reached our location and set up a tent there. We lit up the campfire, shared lots of memories together, and enjoyed our drinks. In the middle of the night, my eyes suddenly opened. I was feeling restless. I don't know why. After a few minutes, I went to the washroom to freshen up. You won't believe me, guys, what I felt that night. When I turned, I didn't know I had reached there. I was standing somewhere in the middle of the dark woods. I was totally blank and shocked. I had no idea where I was or where my tent was. Oh my God. I started screaming for Harry and Todd. I was calling their names continuously in a great panic. "Harry! Harry, are you listening? Todd? Hello? Todd, help me! Are you there? Hello! Somebody, help me!" To this day, I still have no idea how I ended up in the middle of the woods. There were trees and bushes all around and higher hills. Suddenly, I heard a voice coming from the side of a bush. I could not dare to go there and see who the voice was. The voice slowly whispered, "Jonathan, come to me. Come to me. Jonathan, do you still remember me?" When I dared to go there, I saw that it was my maternal grandmother who had passed away 5 years ago. I was happy to see her, but I was thinking in my mind, how was that even possible? I don't know what happened to me. I was lost in her voice, and I was doing what she was saying and didn't even try to run away from there. That voice, my maternal grandmother.
Jonathan, come to me. Come to me. Jonathan, do you still remember me? You have to come to me, my kid. You have to kill yourself to come to me, okay? Are you coming, my kid? You can only do this much for your maternal grandmother, right? Jonathan, do what I say. Shh.
So when she touched my arm, it literally burned. I shouted. Her face turned white and her bloody eyes were horrible. I screamed, and at once, I ran away from there. Later, I found myself in the right location. I got a sigh of relief. I was still wondering what that was. A nightmare or what? When I got there, I saw that Harry and Todd both were looking for me for hours. That ghost reached there. We all screamed and ran. Suddenly, Todd fell and a ghost jumped on him. He started to eat Todd's face and eyes. Todd was dead. We ran fast. That devil was running behind us. Then suddenly, I saw Todd was standing there right in front of us. His eaten face was looking extremely horrible. We turned. There was no ghost other than Todd. Harry and I ran for a while and hid behind a tree. Then I saw Carter there, and he showed us a direction to escape. We followed him. Somehow, we reached out to the staff members and manager and told them everything. I asked, "Where is Carter? He knew everything about yesterday's incident." "I'm sorry. What did you say? Carter?" "Yes, Carter, your employee. He saved me yesterday." All the staff and the manager were in shock. The manager went to an Almira and took out a file. He showed me. I and Harry were in great shock to see it. It was Carter's biodata, written 1950 to 1975. I saw his picture. It was the same person. "Sir, look at this. How was that possible?" We quickly left from there and were waiting for our taxi. Suddenly, my attention went outside the window. OMG. I saw that Carter was standing far away. He was smiling at me. I understand that it must be the spirit of Carter. He was a good spirit who saved us from the devil. We immediately got into the taxi and left that camping place at once. Really, guys, that whole incident was really disturbing, which still gives me goosebumps. My name is Ellie. I'm a 20-year-old college student, and I'm going into my third year. Before the summer break is over, Faye, Victoria, Angie, and myself are going to Angie's parents' cabin to spend a girls' weekend of relaxation by the lake before going back to school. I begged my dad to let us take his Jeep, and he said yes on the condition it comes back in the exact condition I drove it in. Easy enough. We're not crazy off-roaders. I drove with the roof off, and all of us girls took in the smell of mountain and lake air. "How much longer?" Faye asked from the back seat. "We should be there in about 5 minutes," Angie said patiently from the passenger seat. "I'm starving," Victoria whined. I tossed my half-eaten can of Pringles back to her, and she thanked me with a smile. True to Angie's word, we were pulling up within minutes. We all got out and grabbed bags of food in our suitcases. We stepped inside the cabin and gasped as we looked around. It was gorgeous and massive. I get the master bedroom. You three can fight over which ones have to share a room, and a lucky one to have the other guest room to yourself, Angie said as she dragged her suitcase up the stairs. "Rock, paper, scissors?" Faye suggested. "Best 2 out of 3, Victoria said as she balled a fist against the palm of her other hand. I won the guest room to myself, and Victoria and Faye wound up having to share. That night, I would never want to stay alone in a room at that cabin ever again. We got ourselves some lunch and went out to the deck to sunbathe. We got in the water and splashed around for a bit before heading back in to make some dinner and do skincare night and binge junk food while we watched chick flicks. Angie insisted we started with Mean Girls. As we watched the movie, the scene where Lindsay Lohan burst through the door on her friends while they were watching a scary movie and they screamed. When we heard a scream outside. Did you guys hear that? I asked. Angie paused the movie. We thought maybe we had too much caffeine from our sodas and were hearing things when nothing else sounded. I had the popcorn bowl in my hands when suddenly there was a pounding on the door. I jumped so hard, popcorn flew everywhere. Angie and Victoria went to the door together to look outside. There wasn't anyone there. The rest of the movies went on without incident, as did the next 2 movies we watched. By the time the 3rd movie was over, we had forgotten all about it for the most part, and we all dragged ourselves upstairs to bed. We all brushed our teeth in the bathroom, and I went off to enjoy a plush, queen-size bed to myself. I opened the window a crack to let some of that fresh mountain air in while I slept. But that would be a mistake. I played a game on my phone while I settled down before my eyes got tired and I dozed off. I jumped awake a bit later at the sound of something hitting my window. I got up to see what could have hit it from that high up. The window was cracked, and as I approached it, a large rock hit it, causing it to crack a little more. I looked out the window, and down below my window was a man. He looked up at me with an unnaturally wide smile on his face. He then ran up to the side of the building and began to climb up the ladder used as a fire escape. I screamed and slammed the window shut and locked it. I ran and barged into the master bedroom. "Angie, there's a man outside!" Angie shot up with her sleep mask on and lifted it. "What?" she said groggily. "A man is climbing up the fire escape ladder. We need to call the police," I shouted. We then heard Victoria and Faye screaming from the other room, followed by the sound of tearing flesh, and their screams turned into gurgling, as though someone ripped their throats out. "Oh, God!" I cried as Angie rushed to the door to lock it. "Stay calm, Ellie," she said as she grabbed her phone and dialed the police. "We need the police here, quick! There's a man inside the cabin, and I think he's already killed 2 of my friends." She gave them the address just as the man started kicking the door with brute force. He kicked it right off its hinges, and he stood there staring at us with blood all over his mouth and hands. The man's eyes were wide and red as he held up his index finger and dragged it across his throat in a slashing motion and let out the most disturbing laugh I have ever heard. He moved closer to us, and we backed up until our backs hit the glass doors that led to the balcony. Angie fumbled with the lock. She got it undone, and before we could think better of it, both of us ran out onto the balcony and jumped off. We were only about a story high, so the fall wasn't fatal, but high enough to knock the wind out of us. The adrenaline rush allowed us to get up and run for the Jeep. Thankfully, I had left the keys in the ignition as we were out in the wilderness. Angie and I climbed in. I started it up and peeled out of there. The bloodthirsty man chased us down, but we lost him after a bit. The police arrived and found the man passed out in the bushes down the road. Victoria and Faye were found with their throats ripped out. They also found a couple that were camping under the stars he had murdered that night. That explained the screams we heard, and the girl ran to our cabin and pounded on the door. The man took her before we could answer. After some testing, they found out that the man was on an acid trip that caused him to hallucinate. What he thought he saw in me or my poor friends that he slaughtered, we will never know. Angie and I stayed friends, and we never went camping again. My name is Ethan. I am 28 years old. My wife Caroline and I have been married for 2 years now and expecting our first baby. The months were going by quickly, and Caroline and I decided to take a little baby moon before the baby was born. It was wintertime, and my buddy from work has a timeshare cabin that he told us about. He said it was perfect to spend some romantic time up there. Cozy fireplace, flat screen TV, giant clawfoot bathtub. It sounded perfect. He and his wife weren't able to make it this year, so they offered us to take their week. When I told my wife about it, she practically had our bags packed before I finished the description. "Oh, Ethan, I can't wait to light some candles and drop a bath bomb into a nice warm bath and you rub my feet next to the fire." Caroline beamed as we hit the road. Her cheerfulness made me so glad we did this. All we had to buy was gas and food. The rest was covered. So a cheap vacation and a happy wife gave me a happy life. When we pulled up, we were surprised to see the cabin was part of a small community of cabins. We parked our car and went into the main building to check in. The old man standing behind the counter was grinning ear to ear at Caroline. "You are simply glowing. When is the baby due?" he asked. Caroline and I looked at each other. Usually, old men didn't dote on pregnancies. It was usually a woman. My wife, being the classy kind of woman she is, offered the man a warm smile. This spring. My wife and I tried for years to have a baby, but I suppose it wasn't meant to be. The old man frowned. Oh no, I am sorry to hear that. Caroline frowned. It's okay. I am just happy to see youngsters like you able to conceive and have the chance to raise a child. We thanked the old man and wished him a good day as he gave us the key. Caroline and I got into the cabin, and it was only one level, but pretty big. That was fine, as Caroline shouldn't be doing too much climbing anyway. What do we want to do for dinner? I asked as I stocked the fridge with the food we had bought prior to coming. Let's cook up that teriyaki stir-fry and drink some sparkling apple cider. Sounds perfect, I smiled. When dinner was over, I drew the bath for my wife, so all she had to do was climb in and enjoy herself while I cleaned up. I was scrubbing the wok we used to make the stir-fry when suddenly Caroline screamed from the bathroom. I rushed back there, and standing in front of the window was the silhouette of an old woman. I helped Caroline out of the bath, and I called the main office. The old man said it was just his wife trying to see the pregnant woman. He apologized and came to get her. For the next couple of nights, the old man's wife kept coming up to our windows and just staring through the glass at my wife. I would have to call the old man, and he would have to come get her. The next night was the last straw. I had gotten up in the middle of the night to take a leak in the bathroom. Caroline screamed again, and I rushed into the room to see the old woman standing at the foot of our bed with a cleaver. She grinned eerily at Caroline and threatened me with the cleaver to stay back. God never gave me a child. That's why he sent you here, because you have one for me. She giggled. Get the hell away from me, Caroline yelled. The old woman lunged at her, and I was able to tackle her to the ground. The cleaver sliced up my arm and made me bleed a lot. I don't give a fuck how old this woman was. I knocked her out and called her husband, but only after I called the police to press charges. Turns out, this old married couple were homicidal psychos. They had murdered the owners of this cabin community and made a plan to create a baby moon setting so pregnant women would come and they would cut the babies out of them. Caroline and I were almost their first victims. Thank God there won't be any now. Narrated by Dorsey Jackson of Dorsey Jackson Global at Compound City. Be sure to like and subscribe.